Hello, everybody. Welcome to Irongeek Cast number 148, Manspreadalorian. If you don't like that title, I think the one that Trez put in originally was Impeach My Balls.
Mm.
I thought it was funny.
I thought it was funny too, but
Yes. Piss everybody off. That's what we do. So we got a good show for you guys today. We got another wonderful ransomware report, and we got some cool shit about unions in tech, and some vulnerable stuff. Yeah, good show.
Great show. Definitely one, I'm super excited for the holidays. Two, definitely want to talk about some different things that I've encountered during my threat hunt experience that keeps growing each and every day. So that's it from this end.
Yeah. Nothing really new with me. Just, monitoring the security of some networks and making sure there's nothing too bad going on them.
And how are you doing, Iron Geek?
I'm really doing good.
I can't with you, man. Oh my goodness. But yeah. So just a little bit real quick before we get to the breach report, I just wanted to like I said, just talk about real quick, like so with threat hunting, right? So over the past week and really over the weekend, I was listening to Detection's podcast, right? It's run by Understudy, right? So Detections, I like to move. Here's the thing: I like the movement of Detections. It's all about make blue team sexy again. Blue team is sexy again. So,
well, they have to have been sexy in the first place.
well, yeah, but I think what's happened for the longest time we've been overshadowed by like just red teaming only, and just like offensive security all as a whole.
Well,
And I
offensive
think a lot of
security
people,
is so much sexier, so.
right, but I think that like blue teaming and defensive security in general, defenders in general, have been pushed to the back burner. Seem like not just like within the industry mainly, but people that are getting into the industry. Because usually, what's the most talked about thing? Once they want to get into the industry, a lot of people are like, well, I want to get an infosec so I can start hacking. They don't never say I want to get an infosec so I can start being a defender.
Can you hack my ex's Facebook account?
Yeah, like different stuff like that.
I want to get an infosec to ensure the backup program is correct.
But again, this is what they look at. People are just more attracted to that. So I think that like with the possibility of becoming a threat hunter, the possibility of just like being a malware analysis and reverse engineering malware, I think those are awesome things too. And I think they weigh heavily in the infosec community, well, security community in general. So I'm kind of breaking myself out of the word just infosec altogether because I think they're all buzzwords. And a lot of times, I think as a community, we get so caught up in the buzzwords that we forget to pay attention to what's really important, and that's just learning about different security aspects and of course sharing information, but also just like discovering new techniques, discovering not just for offensive security side of the house, but also from a defender standpoint, how to harden and lock down Apache boxes, or, well, I like HTTP, how to harden a Windows and Linux box, how to harden like your VMware center, your vCenter. These are things I think is the lost art, and nobody really talks about them anymore. It's all about tools and discovering what's being breached. But what about for the people who are actually just the everyday Joe that can just like lock something down and showing them the way? Well, again, security is just it's not just a one man job. So I think that's a message that, as a community, we need to keep pushing, not just all about hacking and the CSI stuff and all that. Because at the end of the day, without users, without blue teamers, without, I mean, one hand wash the other. You need blue team, you need red team, which, of course, another buzzword, purple team. I just think
Purple
one.
team.
I just think that one cannot survive without the other, and I think if we could just start pushing more in the direction of inclusion of not only offensive stuff but also blue team stuff. So that's
It's like how the Joker can't survive without Batman, and vice versa.
I agree. Even Jason said it. I agree, Jason. Yes, the blue team needs to be promoted more, and I think and that's awesome. Are you a threat hunter, by the way, or what do you do? Not saying name the company that you work for, but what do you do in your day job? Is it more threat hunting or blue teaming, Jason? He'll answer back, but again,
I can't hear Jason.
I know. Yeah, I just said that in the
In fact, I don't even see Jason in this chat. I see.
Yeah, he's in the chat. Jason Danielstone. Yeah, he just said he thinks the blue team should be promoted more, and he finds that it's more.
Oh, he's on the YouTube chat.
Yeah, YouTube chat. Yes.
Yeah, I want to say he's on the Twitter group also, though, isn't he?
I thought so. Could be wrong, but
if not, Jason, let us know, and I can add you to that too, so you get the invite to be on the stream. But I thought you were in that one too. I forget where I have, because I have you in a couple of different chats.
Yeah. Also too, also want to bring up the fact that as you know, a lot lately, there's been, of course, a lot of cases of ransomware, a lot of cases, of course, more buzzword, a lot of breaches and everything else. I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, how for the longest time when people say, hey, I found this bug, and they've already told the company about it, right? But they say, yeah, for example, SSH is vulnerable. Okay, that's great that it's vulnerable. You found a vulnerability, but where's the POC? Where's the POC? And I think a lot of times people just want to scream that things are vulnerable without providing that POC.
Sometimes POC is hard. I mean, you can sometimes have a DOS that can fuck you, can screw you up, but it's not necessarily going to get remote code execution.
Right, but I mean, these are things that I think as a hacker community in general, as a security community in general, I think that we should hold ourselves, each other accountable. If you're gonna jump out there, and mainly on Twitter, you hop on Twitter and just say, "Hey, I found this bug. This is vulnerable. I've already let the company know about it, and they say I can release the vulnerability." But okay, that's good, but you're still not showing a POC even after you've made that statement. And I just think that it's the responsibility of the community to kind of be more careful with that kind of stuff. Like, hey,
POC or GTFO.
Both. But now, and throw a flux capacitor in there. No, just in general, I think that, because a lot of times we'll see on Twitter somebody tweet something out and they'll just say, hey, this is vulnerable, but without any real proof. And I think that's the worst thing that we could do, especially as security professionals, because the average user doesn't understand that. They don't understand what's really going on. They just know that the stuff works and it does what they need it to do. As nerds and geeks, security geeks, and people who are really into this field, I think it's our responsibility to really not only just inform people, but actually provide backup statements to what you're saying. That'd be like me going out here and say, hey, I just found a bug in a web application, right? And I'm telling you that it's an RFI, right? But I'm not providing any proof, I'm just saying, yeah, this is vulnerable to an RFI, but I never showed like a POC or even screenshots. You know, like
have it
hey,
pull
this is
something
what-
down from your server.
Exactly. I mean, just in general. I mean, a lot of times you see that stuff floating around on the net, whether it's Stack Overflow or whatever else. Yeah, it's vulnerable to RFI, but then you check and it's not. You know, I just think we need to do a better job of just like when we discover things or we think we might have something, just have some kind of story that backs up your point. Even if there's no POC, you can state that I haven't found a POC yet. It's not hard just to say that, you know, and just say I haven't found a POC yet, but currently working on one, or still doing some more investigating. I mean, maybe if I'm looking at this wrong, I mean, you know, you guys can chime in and tell me if I'm looking at this in a weird way, you know.
I tend to agree, especially like when you're giving a vuln report to a client. If there's something that's got a CVSS score of 10, but there's no RCE, and then there's something else on there that's got a CVSS score of 8, but it's got RCE, I would definitely push the thing that's got RCE first and be like, you got to take care of this.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
prioritize it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we're responsible for our clients being in the know of what's happening on whether it's their network, whether it's their web application, whatever. We're responsible for that.
I always found the CVSS thing to be. I would on purpose go in and try to calculate one that fit what I thought the level of vulnerability was, but a lot of times the scores that get assigned just to me don't make a lot of sense.
You know what? And I love doing different wordplay. You know what I call if I was a vapor, I just call it cool vaping extensions. I don't know why. I just like to do the wordplay with CVEs. So,
but I lowered the video quality just to see if that keeps me from getting disconnected over and over again.
Huh?
There's no reason this new router should have this problem, though.
No.
We have a new person joined, fellow Gister. Oh, there we go.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, no, I restarted. I restarted my Chrome, so I forgot that.
It happens. It happens. Yeah, but you know, welcome and voila, we are here. But yeah, I mean, in general, you know, like I said, with I think security, I think we should just be held more accountable for what we're doing. That's all. You know, if we're not doing the right thing, because iron sharpens iron. If I'm misstepping on something, hey, please tell me. We had somebody on. Well, I saw this on Twitter earlier in the week where someone will have an opinion on something, and then instead, I don't know. It's just I think we just need to do a better job of just like communicating with one another. That's all. Just a thought. Well, that's enough of my soapbox and gear grinding stuff. If anybody doesn't have anything else, we can rock out with the breach report.
Yep.
All right, the breach report. So before we get into the breach report, I rearranged things a little bit. So I put it so it's a ransomware report, and then we do breaches. So I figured because we always cover ransomware first anyway, so might as well just reorganize the sections a little bit.
Yeah.
So the first one that I came across this week, and I found a bunch of sources for, but they're all pretty much just saying Krebs wrote an article, is public shaming people for not paying the ransomware when they get ransomware, not paying those people, and I think it's pretty funny. The people who make the Maze ransomware decided to put up a little website that says these 8 companies got infected with our ransomware and decided not to pay us. So keep on the lookout because we're going to be uploading a bunch of their files and stuff here, which I think is just pretty funny. I don't know if they'll actually do it, but either way, it's kind of like it's a new tactic. It's not something we've seen before where not only do they get the ransomware, but then they kind of try and goad them into paying by threatening to release files that they've downloaded from their site. from their company. It's new. I thought it was interesting. Krebs wrote a whole article about it, and essentially it was so popular that like 5 other places decided we're just going to quote Krebs' article and write our own article, and that happens a lot with this. Bleeping Computer wrote one too, and that's that for that particular threat. But I found it pretty interesting. Uh, Also in the news, as far as ransomware, is 4 more cities were hit with ransomware this month in the U.S. 4 U.S. cities were hit with ransomware in December, capping off a year of cyber attacks that one cybersecurity firm called Unprecedented and Unrelenting Barrage. The malicious software that hijacks computers and encrypts files snarled essential government services in Pensacola, Florida, New Orleans, Louisiana, Galt, California, and St. Lucie, Florida. I think we covered last week the New Orleans one, but I mean they're going after municipalities now, and that's kind of interesting because it's not it's kind of typical target that we've been seeing in the past, going after some poorly protected company. They're going after government agencies. So, be kind of interesting if a government agency actually paid, like how they would justify that paying the ransomware. What do you guys think? Am I talking to myself?
No, I'm still connected.
Okay, good.
Wait, they're being shamed for not paying it?
Yeah, they're being shamed. Well, that's the other article, but they're essentially being shamed for not paying the ransomware.
Why would you shame someone for that?
Well, they're saying essentially we hacked their systems and they refuse to cooperate with us, so we're releasing their files.
Okay.
It's a form of extortion.
Yeah. It's definitely a new tactic as far as things we've seen. It's this one group that makes the Maze ransomware that's doing it. Yeah, I'll read an article from a non-technical website. The gang behind the Maze ransomware pop-up is trying to up the psychological ante against victims that have refused to pay its ransom demand in exchange for the promise of a decryptor. By publicly identifying these organizations and releasing a list of crypto-locked systems and samples of file names, Maze is attempting to convert prospective clients into paying customers. The gang has posted teasers of stolen information into its Maze Team's website for the past 2 days. Represented here are companies that do not wish to cooperate with us and are trying to hide our successful attack on their resources. Please wait for databases and private papers here. Follow the news, the site spreads. The intent is clear. By naming and shaming victims, the Maze Gang is trying to psychologically compel them to pay. I mean, that's that. What do you guys think about that?
I can certainly see an argument for not paying as far as encouraging behavior.
Yeah.
But there will leak files and it's going to be some customer data. I can also understand paying.
I don't think. Here's the thing. I think that when in situations like that, you should never pay. Because who's to say if you do pay, right? And it's just my thought process. Okay, say I give up like $5 million. That's not saying they're not going to still leak the information.
Right.
So I think in situations like that, it's always good just to notify authorities. Like, hey, here's what's going on. Here's what's happening. I mean, go through the proper channels or whatever. And, let them know, what situation that you're in. But I definitely would not pay the ransom. I'm sorry. Do whatever you're going to do, but no. Not getting a dime out of me. Just my process. But you pay it, they're still going to leak it somewhere. If they have it.
If they have it.
Yeah, it could be a bluff tactic.
Well, they've got lists of file names, so that means the ransomware is not just communicating with the server to get a key. It must also be communicating to upload a list of the file names it's encrypted, which is not something I realized it did.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, a couple. Pensacola, Florida, is in both these articles. They got hit with that ransomware. It's like it's saying. I'm sorry, there's so many windows open here. So one apparent maze victim isn't on the gang's list of victims that have not paid. The city of Pensacola, Florida, which was hit on December 7th by the ransomware attack, reportedly involved Maze. Does that mean that the city has paid the ransom? So far, that's not clear. But a ProPublica report, the Florida League of Cities, provides insurance coverage to more than 550 public entities in the state, including those municipalities. So maybe they paid. I mean, they've got the insurance. They're not going to lose any money over it, except their insurance premiums going up.
Who's blowing on the mic like that?
That's not. It's the chat sound.
Oh.
It's people leaving the chat and coming back.
Okay.
There it goes again.
No, it's someone posting chat messages. If you open the chat window, you can see them.
Oh. If your company has to pay, get your resume ready because you're going to be out of there faster than shit through a goose, says T-Maker502. Hey, T-Maker, what's the T stand for? Terminator? Tranny? Tomato?
Tickler.
Tickler.
I have a good idea, but I'm not going to say it because I don't know if now. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just say the tickler.
Okay. It automatically reconnected without audio. You all can hear me now,
it
right?
did that to me last week, and I was talking to myself for a good 15 minutes.
Oh, great. Lovely. Unfortunately, Jitsy's about the best thing we found so far. There's a different thing. I can't remember what it's called. It has a duck as a logo, but I don't think it handles the number of people we normally have on.
Yeah, we definitely got to find something else that works. This is not working so well. Oh, somebody's out again. Oh, right. So, a New Jersey hospital decided to pay the ransomware. I don't know if when I'm saying pay the ransomware, I'm being grammatically correct, but I'm sure you guys understand what I mean. Paying the people who infected their systems. So, New Jersey's largest hospital system said Friday that a ransomware attack last week had disrupted its computer network, and that it has paid a ransom to stop it. Hackensack Meridian Health did not say in a statement how much they paid to regain control over their systems, but said it holds insurance coverage for such emergencies. The attack forced hospitals to reschedule non-emergency surgeries and doctors and nurses to deliver care without access to electronic records. The system said it was advised by experts not to disclose until Friday that it had been the victim of a ransomware attack. It said that its network primarily clinician systems had returned to being normal and operational, and the IT specialists were working to bring all applications back online. It's a hospitals, government. It's interesting how they change their victims. Like when ransomware first started, I remember seeing a lot of places getting hit that were just like typical companies that did regular everyday things. And now we're seeing actual government agencies, and they're being actually targeted. They're not like, oh, this just happened to happen. Somebody clicked on a file. This is more like a spear phishing attack and getting into the systems and then encrypting everything. Kind of like those guys who spread Ryuk do. It's just, I think it's interesting the way it's evolved over time. Oh, and the T in T Maker stands for trouble. That makes more sense.
Okay.
Yes. Wow, we're just blowing through these show notes today. So New Orleans was hit with Ryuk. They called a state of emergency. That was actually covered in that other article about the 4 places they got hit, but this is a separate article just on them. And when we read this article, we find out that it was the Ryuk ransomware, or Ryuk, or Ryuk, or how the hell ever you say it. And I would love to read you guys this article, but it is not loading for me. There we go. Okay. On Friday, the U.S. city of New Orleans became the latest local government to be held hostage to ransomware. The ongoing attack caused Mayor Latoya Cantrell to declare a state of emergency. Declaring a press conference on Friday, the mayor confirmed that it was a ransomware attack and that it actively started around 5 a.m. that morning. The city spotted the suspicious activity on its networks around 11 a.m., plenty of time to encrypt all the files, at which point it basically turned itself off. According to NOLA Ready, the city's emergency preparedness campaign, managed by Offices of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness, the city powered down all of its servers, took down all NOLA.gov websites, and told employees to power down their computers, unplug devices, and disconnect from the Wi-Fi. Emergency communications were not affected, according to NOLA Ready, and the 911 emergency and 311 city services are still operational. The city pulled local, state, and federal authorities into an investigation of the incident, and as of last night, the city is still working to recover data from the attack, but plan to be open as usual. And Cantrell confirmed that this ransomware attack, this is a ransomware attack, but no ransom demand has been made. Federal and state investigators have been called to help out with the investigation. And some memory dumps were shared with Bleeping Computer, and in it, a executable called Yolette B that contains both references to Ryuk as well as references to New Orleans, domain names, domain controllers, internal IP addresses, usernames, and file shares. Who keeps dropping in and coming back? Is it you? I bet it's you. Oh, there they go again.
I did add the link on my Facebook to the Jitsi stream. Who's the heavy breather?
It's the sound of a chat message. It's all it is.
Okay.
That is the most annoying sound for them to use. It sounds like somebody breathing heavily into the microphone.
Frank, what are you wearing?
Nothing, baby. Nothing. Okay. So, now that it's absolutely quiet, does anybody have anything to say?
It seems like a lot of people are getting hit by ransomware.
Yeah. Keeps happening over and over again. and people do not secure their shit.
Healthcare is a shit show.
Okay.
People do not secure their shit because until they get hit with something like ransomware, they just keep putting it off, finding excuses as to why they don't need to secure things. And, yeah. So another place that decided to pay the attackers is a lab in Canada. They got hacked and got some ransomware on their network, and they decided it would be best to just...
Who's coming in with background noise?
Sounds like somebody's watching TV. Anyway, they decided it would be best to just pay the ransom because the breach, which affected 15 million customers, had their names, physical addresses, login credentials, dates of birth, health card numbers, and these things were all looted in the attack. See, just because you pay the ransom doesn't mean they're not going to still steal your data.
True that.
So, a security firm called Life Labs has been monitoring the internet and the dark web for signs of the stolen data, and so far they've found none, which is good. Doesn't mean they won't, though. My God, use the other chat. Stop using this chat. I kill you.
Oh my God.
All right. Mute yourself when not speaking, man. Sounds like a pervert called in on the line. Charles, wake up the lotion.
All right. This is a podcast. We have to talk.
Captain Underpants. Captain Underpants.
I got to get in a quieter area.
That was totally illegible. Or legible. That's not the right term. Indiscernible?
Incomprehensible.
Incomprehensible. Thank you.
Hey, they have a speaker stats section, and I am talking way too much. I've been talking for 21 minutes. Irongeek has talked for 2 minutes.
I'm an underachiever. What can I say?
It's not a bad thing.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello.
Oh, it's Jason. I finally got the thing.
Hey, Jason.
How's it going?
Hey, Jason.
Going great. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Drinking vodka and mango something juice, so I'm feeling good.
Oh, that's always good. And we got your message earlier. Yes, blue team needs to be a focal point. Woo!
Well, what I was talking about is that I was saying this in the chat too. Is that you're responsible to be secure for your computer. If you have your own network, you have to lock that down yourself. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have to you shouldn't rely on anybody else to do your security for you. There's so many people that have their security and they
wait a minute, wait. Unless it's an MSSP, then definitely let them do your security for you.
No, I'm saying for your own computer and your own network. You know what I mean? Not the enterprise stuff. I'm saying just for the regular user. You have to do that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Lock it down.
So I'm saying, lock it down.
Lock it down.
Nobody will hack my computer because I have a super secret password of 123456.
There you go. Well, they have to find you first. There's a whole security through obscurity thing,
All right, who's watching TV?
Not me.
Well, who does the icon say is talking when that's happening?
It was that Captain Underpants guy.
I just muted my thing just to make.
Captain Underpants. I wonder who that
Hey.
is.
Adrian, it might be a good idea not to share the Jitsi link in the future.
Okay, gotcha.
Anyway, other fun stuff to talk about, besides that Canadian lab, is unions in tech. Now, I did not put this article here, but I assume Adrian did.
I put an article here. Someone at Google apparently used an internal alert system that was meant for like security alerts and policy stuff to advertise for unionizing Google. And there's debate online about whether or not what they did was within policy or not. I have some people from Google saying that it was within policy and they had every right to do it, and somebody else telling me that you have to go through some starting live streaming.
Live stream is on.
Okay, so we left off at the point where you were talking about union and Google.
Yes, someone at Google used an internal messaging system to do a pop-up on people's screen when they went into a union-busting website about local, I think maybe it's states' rights to be able to organize and so forth. There's debate online about whether or not what the person did was within Google policy. Someone said, "Oh yeah, that's completely within their permissions to do," and other people are saying, "No, they should have got authorization and so forth." Regardless, the person got fired. And watching the Twitter stuff on it, it's kind of interesting to see who says what. But they're trying to promote unionization in at Google. How much do you think tech workers actually need unions?
I mean,
I think.
Do I think tech workers unions? I don't. You know what? I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no, and here's why I say that. I just think as a whole, the reason I say this, I think as a whole, our industry makes generate an insane amount of revenue. You know, and despite what many people, and I don't know if you guys think like this or whatnot, do you think like for some positions in InfoSec, not just InfoSec, but just in tech in general, do you think some of the positions are overpaid for what they do?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, not all of them, obviously.
Not all.
There are definitely some guys who are making way too much money for the little bit of work that they do.
Right. And I think, and you know, I just look at it like, I think as a whole, we should go back to something like maybe like based on utilization. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, because that's kind of like it's kind of like a tough one. So I just think because of the amount of revenue that our industry generates, and a lot of us are making very good salaries. Not to start off with, but I'm just saying over the years you're making pretty good. You're making probably more than half of like your city, wherever you live at. You know, you're making more probably than the average person wherever you live at. And I just think, as far as like a union is concerned, I don't know. I don't think that would be feasible.
See, I have mixed opinions on unions. I can certainly see them in some professions being used. Sorry, I just bit my tongue. Useful. I'm not sure about IT stuff.
Right.
And also, I've heard of people who just basically they get in the union and the union takes dues and does nothing for them.
Right. Like
Yeah. Well, I was in a union, and the thing is that there's two types of unions. There's the public sector union, and then there's the private sector union. The private sector union, even those are self-serving. The public sector, they just gouge the taxpayer, and you can't get rid of them. You can't fire them. You can't do anything. Like the public school teachers, the people that work at City Hall, all that stuff, and it's horrible because they keep raising their demands for more stuff, and the government doesn't have them, and that's why there are a lot of places that are in debt now. You know, I don't think it's a good thing.
But
in the 20s or the 30s, it was a good thing because the workers needed some protection against what was going on. But now I think all that stuff is long gone.
But
that's my opinion.
I agree, but here's the thing: like, how do you justify not having a union for like the lower paying job? Like, for example, teachers. Let's be real: teachers don't make a lot of money. Cops don't make a lot of money. Firemen, the dangerous jobs. Because again, now we have to include teaching as a dangerous job because of the way society has become when we're dealing with children here. So it's a dangerous job.
Right.
You
But
know,
how is the union helping them out? If it's already a low paying job and they're already in a union, how is the union helping them out any?
it doesn't. You know, in that case, I mean, it's got to be. I think, and I don't know about police benefits. I don't know how benefits are with firemen, but I know for teachers they have some awesome benefits in the education system, even though they get paid a lower salary. But here's my thing: why not just pay them the money and let them decide, how they spend it? I'll just put it that way. And maybe that's like sounding insanely too simple, but I just think that when it comes to those specific professions, they make way too little money. And I think with some of the positions in our industry, we make way too much money. Checks and balances, I guess. I don't know what to call
I
it.
think there are certainly some management positions where they really don't do a lot, but they get paid a lot
Right.
to not do a lot.
Which shouldn't
and they're more
happen.
like, and there are some really high level positions that are designed just to be the fall guy in case something happens. It's like we're gonna pay you a shit ton of money, but if God forbid we got ransomware, you're out the door.
Well, yeah, earn your keep, because maybe if you do that, it'll force people to actually do their jobs. Because let's be real, you got a lot of places, and I would never call out places on a live stream, but you have a lot of places where you go to work and you see situations that's constantly happen that nobody respects the culture, nobody respects rules and policies and everything else, and everybody's just kind of like doing their own thing. And then when things happen, it's just a matter of the blame game. Well, has your department done what they're supposed to do when it got breached and back and forth? So, yeah, I think putting something in place where it's forcing people to earn their check, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, people in our industry, a lot of them have become complacent. They're able to get away with not doing a lot and just kind of, they have nice cushy jobs where they get to go in and sit around and browse Reddit all day, and they don't really do the kind of stuff that they're getting paid for,
For now.
By the way, if you get fired from one job for trying to promote unionization, how hard is it to get a job someplace else?
Depends on the unionized.
Not that hard, really. I mean, technically they can't. Almost every state is a right to work state, so you can't get fired for trying to form a union.
What if they Google you and see that the last job you got fired from was because you sent out a bunch of messages using the company's internal messaging system trying to unionize the employees?
That would be bad for you.
Yeah, that would be.
Because then they'll look at you as a troublemaker. That's what just label you. Yeah, he's a troublemaker because he wants to always rev up he wants to cause the next uprising of our employees, and we just can't have that in our work culture.
Many years ago, when I was a teenager, we had an employee who was trying to go around and tell everybody that he wanted to start a union, and he had backing of one of the local unions. He essentially wanted us to join a local, I think a local 130 or some shit like that. And he's like, "Yeah, just fill this out, and you can join up." And management got a whiff of what he was doing, and he was fired before you'd know it. He was just gone. Like, they did not want any of that.
No, because God help, they have employees that can think for themselves and not, following and complying with what the company is trying to put down.
For sure.
Remember the movie They Live? with Roddy Piper, and you notice without the glasses, they would just walk around like zombies. They just complied. They did with everything that the aliens wanted them to do. But as soon as they had that one guy, Roddy Piper, and another guy got those glasses to see what was really going on, that's when stuff got rough for them.
The other guy's Keith David, as I recall.
Keith David, yes, Keith David.
Keith David is the black guy. David Keith is the white guy.
Yes.
As far as actors are concerned, I get them reversed in my head sometimes.
Me too. Me too. But yeah, with Keith David, again, once they started to see what was actually going on within like the alien population, and they saw the signs that said obey and everything else, and they really started like exposing what they were doing. They were trying to kill them before they could get the message out to the rest of the people, to the rest of the sheep, because heaven forbid if they had a mind of their own, they could destroy their operation.
Some people went in with the whole conspiracy, and they were normal humans who were playing along.
Yeah, because they wanted that check. It's no different than corporate America, if you think about it. Like, you'll have some people that know something is wrong, but they'll go along with it just because it keeps them employed and it keeps them happy. So, I mean, again, it all comes down to what the individual that you're dealing with. Some individuals you have, they care more about their morals or whatever else than they do. They care about doing the right thing. And a lot of times, those people that really care about doing the right thing usually are the ones that are fired because they're causing, problems, if you want to call it that. And then the ones that a lot of times that are not really doing the right thing, depending on the company, those are the guys that are usually around for 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. No, in this particular case of Google, I'm not sure what they did was the right thing, and I'm not sure what policies they broke by using my understanding, a security messaging system.
To say about that.
But it depends on what was in their contract too with Google as well too. So depends on if Google, when they first, because think about it, when people are looking for jobs, they don't really they don't pay attention to paperwork. A lot of people don't. They just sign. They hear dollar signs that say, "Oh yeah, you're making $100,000 a year," but then they're not looking at the paperwork and see what comes with all of that. What rights do you have? What rights you lose once you sign? Nobody looks at that. Some places, if you work for them, you can't have an outside business that's related to IT.
Well, it's not just that, but also knowing what sections of the contract are enforceable, what's the unspoken rules,
right.
What do you have under labor laws? There's a whole lot of things in there
that people don't read,
or just straight up aren't aware of even.
Well, sorry, if you get in paperwork, a lot of people, and to be true, a lot of people don't pay attention to the paperwork. Like, they'll get like a stack of paperwork, and they're just say, "Okay, where do I sign?"
Well, yes, that's true, but they may not understand what the paperwork says, or the paperwork may say something that's in contravention of law, because as you know, a contract cannot supersede law. Like, for example, you cannot sign away your right to sue, even though they may go, "Oh, you have to do arbitration, whatever." No, bullshit. You can still fucking sue.
Exactly.
So people aren't aware of those things too.
That's true, but as far as like with no, I'm just saying in general, when usually when people sign on for jobs, they don't read the paperwork. It's just like, okay, sign here on the yellow line or wherever, and that's what they do instead of like just actually taking time and reading it.
Oh, by the way, Trotter Trome, I do try to read the YouTube chat from time to time. I'm having connection problems. If you want to get to me reliably, though, probably tweeting it at me is probably the best way.
Okay.
I'm not sure who Trotter Trome is. I'm not sure if I follow him or not, but I can follow him back if he sends me something.
Of course.
Or she. I don't know who it is.
Charles, who are you talking to?
You. Well, Adrian, when he said, of course. Like, when he said, with tweeting back. Like, if you want to reach him through Twitter.
Adrian, did you just assume that person's gender, you shitlord?
Well, dude, I've looked at my YouTube metrics. Assuming people aren't lying to YouTube when they sign up, my viewership is overwhelmingly male. And Garrett Riley said,
vulnerable stuff.
end of the day.
All right, here's the latest.
Wait, can you all hear me?
Hackers
I can hear
target.
you. Trez. Can you hear Adrian?
Yeah,
No,
I can.
I can hear Adrian.
Well, you can't hear me.
I can.
Is
Yeah.
he talking?
Yeah, he's talking. I guess
shit.
both me and Charles can hear him.
I'm
but
gonna
you
reconnect in
can't.
a second.
What the
Ask
hell?
Trey
I'm
to
gonna
hold
reload
off
the
just a
stream.
second. I'm just gonna read Jared Tim Riley's message to us, and then I'm gonna try to reload. He says, end of the day, it's cheaper for a company to pay out on a wrongful termination than deal with a union. That's probably true.
Yeah, a lot of companies when they look at lawsuits, things like that, even for unfair dismissals, they'll look at the cost versus the loss potential. And I mean, even if they are 100% in the right, even if it's cheaper to pay the cost, they'll do it. Just basic risk assessment.
Wait,
Adrian, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, good. I couldn't hear you before. I was wondering what the hell is going on.
I think Jitsy's fucking up. I think some of it's my connection problems, and I think some of it's Jitsy fucking up.
That was really weird because they were like listening to you, and I was like, "Why is nobody talking?"
Yeah, I can
and they were responding, and I was
I
like,
can
"Who
hear
the hell are
you,
they
but
responding to?"
we kept talking over each other. I don't know what the deal is. Like, if
Sorry
anybody
about
has an
that.
alternative to Jitsi, I like Google Hangouts, man. Google Hangouts. Why the fuck they got rid of that functionality? I do not know to stream to YouTube.
Well, there is Streamlabs, but I think that's meant for like multi-streaming, so I don't know if that's going to work for
And also
what you want.
Streamlabs, you have to set things up in OBS, and people don't connect and disconnect. You could, like, if you have a certain number of guests that you know you're always going to have, it's not a bad setup. But
Right.
it's not a thing that you can join and disconnect and join and disconnect.
It's more for professional versus an amateur hour like what we do.
Maybe Twitch. I don't know. Discord. Discord has some chat features now.
So I typed in Jitsi alternative into Google, and it gave me a bunch of shit that's not related to Jitsi. It's
pretty
like
much.
Telegram, Signal, Skype, Slack. It's like, yeah, those are chat programs. What the fuck?
What about Discord?
Will Discord let us stream straight to YouTube?
I'm not sure. That's something I haven't looked into, but I can look it up real quick.
I think you have to use OBS for that, so you come back to the Streamlabs thing.
Is anybody talking now, or is it just like
I hear
connection
silence.
again?
No, it's
No, it was
dead
silent.
air. So
You can sync your YouTube account with your Discord account.
Oh, by the way, I was right about Trouto. Apparently, they are a man.
Oh, okay. 10 points for the correct assumption. Yeah, Discord will automatically sync with your YouTube account, and you'll find all the streamers you join right in the connections tab. So maybe that could be a possibility. Something to definitely try out.
Do you guys already have a Discord, or are you gonna set that one up?
We
We
already
have
Irongeek.
theory. I'm never on it.
Yeah, me neither.
I think Ricky
I
said
know I
that
saw a
way
link
back.
to something like that once, and I just kind of I joined it, and like nobody was talking, and I just left.
Oh, Trouter says Ralph Retort uses Discord. I vaguely know of Ralph Retort. I just have to see how he does things and check it out.
I'm sorry, did you say Ralph Retort?
That is what Trouter said in the YouTube chat. I know he has some issues.
That is another way. That is one way of sticking your dick in a hornet's nest.
Well, I mean, I'm using the same technology as him. It's not going to cause me a problem.
No,
yeah, we're talking about
but
using the same technology, not taking the same style.
I don't know much about the gentleman other than he was involved in Gamergate, and apparently he had some issues with. He had a disorderly conduct thing related to booze and the cops.
He drunkenly assaulted a cop. But he is self-described muckraker. I know him mostly when he was celebrating some girl who killed herself, and keep bringing on trolls onto his stream, who also celebrated how she killed herself. Ooh. So yeah, I'm not really a fan of that.
I can understand that.
Yeah, he also has a very strange base of support. All the way from evangelical Christians to feminists to various. I do not understand the sheer variety of some of his supporters.
Huh. Evangelical Christians and feminists.
So a feminist, a lot of the internet poop crowd, the internet YouTube the poop crowd,
What the poop crowd?
lol cow
Crowd
crowd.
is.
The YouTube poop crowd are the people who either create or
Adrian, who you
excessively
talking
focus
to?
around people who create drama content.
Oh, okay.
Anybody else?
Adrian is safe.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Scott.
Trez, do you not hear live beef?
I'm hearing Adrian talk. I hear you talk, but I'm sure there's somebody else here, and I'm not hearing them talk.
Live beef is on.
Yeah.
You can't hear him.
I don't hear anything
Hello?
right now. Is he talking?
Liz, can you hear Trez talking or not?
I can, yes. I also hear some
Okay.
rustling in the background.
That's probably me, sorry. So, Trez, yeah, it looks like you can't hear him, but he can hear you, so.
What the balls?
I think Trez may try to reconnect and. All right, Trez.
All right, roll call. Adrian, you here?
Yes.
Live beef, you here?
BSD
Yes.
BSD Bandit is here.
All right,
And I'm here.
Darren's here. Okay, I think I can hear everybody now. What the hell? So freaking weird to hear people talking to somebody and not hearing that person. It's like the real life Twitter when you mute somebody and people are talking to them.
Next item on the list.
Strobes.
Oh. Did I lose you, Trey?
I'm here.
Okay.
So next item on the list was the Epilepsy Foundation thing, right?
Yeah.
So I seem to remember back in the day, Weave doing this kind of shit.
Weave does a lot of shit. Has he been kicked off pretty
yes.
much all social media at this point?
I know he's not on Facebook anymore because I was Facebook friends with him.
I was as well, because sometimes those weird shit would be posted, but
yeah, seems to be off most social media.
There's one weird person he had as a friend online that I'm like, okay, considering your racist views and this person being a social justice warrior, I'm not sure why you two are friends. I was really confused.
Yeah, he definitely had some interesting taste in friends.
Well, the thing is, they were mutual, though. That's the thing. I would think, she would hate him.
So, long story short, what's going on here is, you know how epileptic people, they cannot deal with strobes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. So, in what they're calling a mass cyber attack that apparently sought to trigger seizures in those with epilepsy, this series of online attacks was particularly reprehensible. They were no different than a person carrying a strobe light into a convention full of people with epilepsy and seizures with the intention of inducing seizures and thereby causing significant harm to the participants. The Foundation reported 30 such attacks in the first week of November, and has filed complaints with law enforcement. It is unclear how many people clicked on the videos and animated images known as GIFs. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant to say GIFs. Cyber attacks intended to trigger harmful seizures in those with epilepsy have become more common in recent years, particularly after a Texas author was targeted in 2016.
Wait, this involves Cook Eichenwald. I thought a lot about his story was bullshit, wasn't it?
I'm not familiar with him.
He's a reporter, a journalist or whatever, and so I already posted something about it was someone saying that there was his wife posting his account said that he basically went into an epileptic fit because of something someone posted on Twitter.
There is a lot of circumstantial evidence which calls into question if he really did have a seizure or not. But that's the most we
Did he
have
also
to go
post a
by.
screenshot about looking at tentacle porn?
Well, so the screenshot was of him pointing at a anti-Semitic meme someone posted at him, but he didn't close his tabs on his browser, and one of the tabs was of hentai.
Oh, okay.
Now he claimed he claimed he was looking for tentacle porn with his kids to prove to his wife that yes, tentacle porn exists on the internet. However, the manga in question did not have tentacle porn.
What fascinates me about tentacle porn is the fact that in Japanese art it goes back to at least the 19th century.
Oh yeah, that's it's deeply embedded in their culture.
I know this is off topic, but Japan has such weird laws about pornography that I don't really understand it. Because my understanding is they can't show a penis and vagina, they can show a rape scene, and that sometimes people would escape certain laws of theirs by instead of having a penis do something, they would have a tentacle do it.
And then there's this whole weird penis fertility festival where they have like people with penis floats, penis costumes, penis food. There's penises everywhere in Japan, and for that festival.
And they don't seem to have much of a hang up about, like some Westerners have a hang up about same-sex sexuality, but Japan doesn't as much, my understanding. But they have other weird things like what they blur out in porn and so forth. I'm a little confused. But this is going to get clipped out, I know.
Well, their enforcement against like media of same-sex media is somewhat inconsistent. The biggest crackdown I heard was of some doujin, porn comic authors, girls who were drawing boy love comics, and got cracked down on like in 2014-ish.
Okay, yeah, that's a little weird.
It was big enough that it hit some news sites, but beyond that,
see, the thing that trips me up is they
think that there's any.
They seem both more open to various
against it. I think it's selective law enforcement.
The thing that trips me up is they seem both more open to various sexualities and sexual expression than like say Europeans do, or European descent people do, as far as like countries that come from the Western side of things, and in some cases more restrictive.
Yeah, though there is a big difference between art and not art in that regard. Like, I mean, obviously there, like they're not sure how in depth I really want to get into that topic.
Yeah, Trez, I and live people. Sorry, I took this way off topic. Go ahead and back.
No worries.
Back to what you were saying, Trez.
Oh, no problem. So I pretty much finished with the article about epilepsy that I wanted to talk about with this. I mean, like you were saying, it's that author from the Times, and he suffers from seizures, and they sent him a link to a gift that said you deserve to have a seizure for your writing or some shit like that, and he claims to have had a seizure for like 8 minutes.
Huh. Now, how long does it take? Now, I understand the strobe effect causing seizures in people. How long does that take to take effect? I mean, you have to, like, once you see a flashing image, would you know to look away, or does it happen really fast?
I really can't answer that. I know my friend Jackie, who's got epilepsy. When she's driving, she gets really freaked out at those red light cameras because she's afraid if she even sees one of them where they flash on and off real quick, she'll have a seizure. She says it's happened to her once. So,
do ambulances and police cars screw with her?
Probably.
I don't know a whole lot about the condition. I've only really known one epileptic person that I talked to much back in the day when I worked at the library. And if anybody knows, add a comment or send us something in chat.
Like, subscribe. Okay. So,
That article, in and of itself, is pretty interesting. I don't know if it's the journalist just trying to get attention or if it really did happen, but you never know. Amazon. The next article we have is Amazon Ring hacker caught taunting Florida man and police officer. The ring hacker can be heard saying, "You're getting hacked by a 5-year-old dude."
All right, who the
Florida
hell's
man's
that?
ring system.
It's not even
Who says
indicating
that?
to me who's sending the audio.
Am I not showing up?
Captain Underpants, what the fuck you up to? Alright, no offense, Captain Underpants, but I'm muting your ass.
I'll do one better. Oink.
Alright. That was I was one that kicked you, but I think I know who that is, but still. Maybe not share on Facebook. Sorry about that. Let's continue.
So, a Florida man's Ring security system was hacked by someone who taunted him and a police officer who arrived at the home, going as far as to say he had witnessed homeowners performing sexual acts. "You're getting hacked by a 5-year-old dude," the person can be heard at one point telling the homeowner, identified by the Daily Mail as Joshua Coop. So, do you hack into the cameras that are inside the house too? Coop asked the hacker at the beginning of the video, prompting the young-sounding voice to respond all the time. Coop is seen in the driveway of what appears to be his home as he continues his conversation with the person, even discussing the type of car he owns, and asking the stranger more questions. "So, do you see like any naked people? All the time, right?" he started asking. The person responds, "Oh yeah. I see those things too," he says, before referencing sexual acts he claims to have witnessed during a breach. "I really did." The hacker proceeds to brag about getting the cops called to a home that had a ring system he had broken into because they had a gun out. Coop, who mentions in the footage that a stranger had told him he was 16 years old, is seen looking up at the camera, standing barefoot in the driveway as a police car pulls up. As the nearly 3-minute clip continues, a hacker begins commenting on the female police officer's appearance as she approaches the home. "Cops aren't so scared of me. I've seen them billions of times," the voice says. "I'll stick around. I don't care. They're probably going to take the camera for evidence like they did last time." Ring systems have reportedly been hacked in at least 4 separate states across the nation, including Florida, Georgia, Connecticut. Well, obviously, it's probably more than that. The New York Times reported. The hacker also talks about a friend who was on the news for telling little kids he was Santa Claus, likely referring to how a hacker accessed the Mississippi family's ring system in early December and started talking to an 8-year-old girl. And this article goes on for a lot longer, but that's the gist of it. And I just wanted to comment on this. I saw Kevin Mitnick on Dr. Phil, and the whole theme of it was people who hack into camera systems in people's houses, and he like traced one of the hackers somehow, apparently with open source intelligence, and got the guy to call up and apologize for going into people's houses and looking at them when they're not away on their camera. It was pretty interesting, and the guy was like, "Oh, Kevin, you're my hero," which I thought was pretty funny. Regardless, that's just another thing that I wanted to mention. Any comments on the hackers going into the camera systems and screwing shit up?
Didn't I hear how they got in? Was it like a
From what I understand, 90% of the time it's credential reuse. Same password and username everywhere.
I do recall reading an article.
They don't seem to.
Is that the Vice article? Or the Motherboard article?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they mention that there was a stream that people went to and we're all and collectively were watching the guy streaming, hacking in, screening the camera feeds of the cameras he hacked into, and then encouraging him to say specific things?
That sounds epic. I haven't heard of that.
that was mentioned in the article, and that is actually reminiscent of some things I've heard about years ago. And look up, see if I can find an old YouTube video before Nest and before Ring. There were people hacking into school PA/camera systems. Apparently, there's a hybrid such system. And playing, in this case, my recollection, it was, think of the theme of DuckTales, except nearly every word is the N word.
That sounds like something we would do.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I laughed my ass off when I saw that YouTube vid. I laughed my ass off.
That's great. So we're almost done with the show notes. The last thing we have is process hollowing used in crypto mining. And I really just skimmed that article. I haven't actually read it well enough to be able to explain it without reading it. So I think I'm going to take it and see how I do here. So process hollowing. Researchers at Trend Micro have observed a new technique that is used for Monero mining. It is being implemented by hackers since November and geo-targeted mainly towards users in Kuwait, Thailand, India, Bangladesh, United Arab Emirates, Brazil, and Pakistan. Along with process hollowing, this technique also drops another file that acts as a container. The dropper file on its own is of no use, and its malicious nature remains hidden until a specific set of command line arguments are used to trigger it. The dropper is a 64-bit binary containing packed malicious code, and we found the executable checking the arguments passed to it and verifying upon unpacking. They further found that the infection routine is divided into two stages. The first stage of the infection involves an arithmetic operation on alphanumeric strings. This is used to decrypt the information from the arguments, including cryptocurrency wallet or address of the cybercriminal, specified as part of the required arguments sent to trigger the malicious file and enable the coin mining activity. The second stage, once the correct arguments are executed, the dropper then executes a child process called wakecobs.exe. The dropper further injects the malicious code into the miner, which runs undetected in the background. Researchers have coined this technique as highly dangerous as the dropper evades manual scanning and detection by injecting the malicious code into a dropped file and then hiding itself in a different directory without an extension. This malicious process hollowing crypto mining technique also goes undetected from white box, sandbox, and black box analysis, thus making it more difficult for IT teams to find these dropper files. Earlier, Trend Micro had reported a sudden rise in fileless attack techniques better known as zero-footprint attacks or non-malware attacks. This method of attack does not install any malicious software on users' computers, and instead it exploits applications that are already on the device. I have not ever heard of process hollowing before reading this article, but it sounds pretty cool. Any of you guys ever heard of that technique before?
I can't say that I have.
I pay very little attention to cryptocurrency.
It's not. All right, so it's a hacking
Process
technique.
hollowing as a tactic is not new, but I guess it's used for in cryptocurrency, crypto miners is new.
Yeah. It's interesting. Okay. And with that, we are done with the show notes.
Yay!
Anybody else want to talk about some fun stuff? No?
So this one time, Bandcamp.
Hey!
All right.
Well, Bandcamp. Since we're done with the show notes. Yep. So, what's everybody got coming up for the holidays? What's up? Talk to us.
Well, most of my
answers
answers.
work at a soup kitchen. No, I'm just kidding. I actually tried to do that one year, and they were way more than filled with volunteers. They were like, "We do not need any volunteers, but thank you."
All my ancestors are
Yeah,
dead, so I have a brother and a couple of cousins, but
Okay.
I don't, I don't have
So
much
for the holidays, I'm going to my mom's house, and I'm
Awesome.
going to get some cool presents, and I'm going to give some cool presents, and I will have an Oculus Rift by the end of it, and some other cool shit.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to my parents' house. My mom's gonna be cooking up a storm, making a lot of pies and cakes and a lot of food. So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
You gonna save me some?
Maybe. Do you like? I don't know. Do you like apple pie and pumpkin pie and sweet potato pie?
I was hoping for some collard greens.
Oh, I have collard greens. We have collard greens. We have collard greens, rice, definitely cornbread, definitely like black beans, black beans, wild rice, hen. We're gonna have a little bit of duck, a little bit of
Duck.
I love duck. Duck's good shit. It cooks it right. It can be greasy as fuck if you cook it raw.
venison. We're gonna have some venison.
Okay.
And of course, some people in the family like steak over venison, so we'll have steak as well too. So you got the 3 options of meat, and of course some turkey. So 4 actually.
Shit, that's a lot of meat. I like it.
Yeah. So my mom likes to cook, so she cooks a lot. So
Y'all can adopt me.
you're always welcome, my friend. So
Duck is good, but you got to cook it right. The first time I ever ate duck, it was duck out of a can. It was terrible. But I've had duck at other restaurants, and duck, if cooked right, is some very flavorful meat.
And then we also have fish fries as well too. So
here's the thing: my mom used to make for Christmas and also, of course, Thanksgiving, cornbread stuffing. And so she left the recipe with my brother, who sent to me about what all was in it, but she didn't leave necessarily proportions. So I have to make it as best that I can figure it out.
Right. Also too, and like I said, plans for like after the New Year's. I didn't get accepted to talk at ShmooCon, but you already warned me about that.
Yeah,
it's hard, man. I got accepted one time way back when I was actually doing new.
I could not get tickets. I tried all 3 times, and
But I will.
Tickets.
But I will be at LobbyCon. I'm definitely still going. So I will be at LobbyCon. Hey, we might do a HackerCon and LobbyCon. I don't know. Yeah, definitely still be going. Also, too, next year, like I said, the videos this year was just a start. Definitely going to be ramping up. You'll see more vids. Definitely next year, and really pushing the button on mental health in our community. I mean, really pushing.
Amanda Berlin has been doing really good with that.
Oh yeah. I'm part of the mental health hackers group. I'm actually a Patreon for them. So that's I'm definitely really gonna be pushing the button. Instead of like mental health awareness months, we'll have mental health awareness month only. We'll have mental health awareness Mondays. So every Monday it'll be more like related to like mental health, like posts and tweets, and of course videos as well. And of course DM will still be open if anybody wants to chat or anything else about what's going on. Completely confidential. And yeah, I'm all about trying to help others, my friends. So you'll see more of that. Definitely you'll see more talks, especially related to like Rust and Windows hacking in general, because that's kind of where I'm at right now. As far as and reason I chose the path of going down the rabbit hole of like hacking Windows and understanding like Active Directory and security is because of the fact that I've joined a threat hunting team. So I kind of want to know both sides in the Windows world. So gonna be a pretty busy year next year. And then we got Who's Your Hacker Con. Ow!
Yeah, looking forward. Never been to a con starting up before.
Yeah, I'm super amped.
What?
We'll see how things go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for right now, I'm definitely gonna be at GurCon next year. Definitely gonna be at GurCon. ThoughtCon, I don't have a ticket right now, so I'm hoping I get lucky. If I get lucky, get a ticket, then I'll go to Chicago for ThoughtCon. Definitely, maybe DEF CON this year. I don't know if my job pays for it. If not, then I'll find like a B-Sides or something to go to. Definitely B-Sides Delaware. Definitely Charm. B-Sides DC, of course, because I had a ball. And yeah, I mean, it's gonna be some pretty awesome cons next year. Wild West Hackfest. That'll be my first one. I've never been, so yeah. Wild West Hackfest looks interesting. So that's it.
All right. Awesome.
I don't have any particular plans. I have a few cons lined up for next year, but that'd be some of the normal stuff like NolaCon, Show Me Con,
Okay.
and such.
Oh, what about Circle City?
I don't know. I'll be talking to them here shortly. We'll see how things go with that.
Okay. Yeah, so, new decade, fellas. New decade. So,
well, technically, now someone I was in a meeting today and someone was saying it's a new decade. It's going to be a new decade. But does the new decade actually start in 2020 or 2021?
20.
20.
Okay.
So
Zero's a number.
Well, yeah, but then they say the new. Well, I was wondering because they said that the new century didn't start technically till 2001.
Do you want me to put on my? I can put on my Mike Tyson hat. Not Mike.
Wait,
Neil deGrasse Tyson. My God.
And we all know Wikipedia is completely authoritative about everything.
Put on the Neil deGrasse Tyson hat and talk about how insignificant our concept of years are, other than this being a revolution around the sun.
According to Ordinal Convention of Decades, the 23rd decade will begin on January 1st, 2021.
Well, then I guess it depends what significance you want to tie to the arbitrary number.
I'm just gonna call it. I'm just gonna call it a new
and there's
decade.
also a New York Times article on it, but I think I maybe trust Wikipedia more.
I mean, it's a new decade. 10 years is a decade. I mean, let's be realistic.
The way I see it, year zero is still a year.
Yep. 10 years is a decade. So, I mean, whichever you choose, but I just call it a new decade.
Oh, was there a year zero? I don't remember.
Well, there was a Sub-Zero. But nah, I'm just kidding.
Apparently, according to once again Wikipedia, granted source being what it is, no year zero, start and end of a century.
There is no year zero.
Based on the Google search, yes.
I'm a little shocked there. I was not aware there was no year zero.
By the way, is there a traditional Jewish calendar?
Yes.
And what did they start off with? I mean, what did it count?
I have not the slightest clue. I know there's a Jewish calendar, and it's different from the calendar we all use. I just so rarely look at it.
Yeah, Muslims and Hebrews both use a different calendar, and I think so do the Chinese. They have a separate calendar as well. But they still observe the Gregorian calendar because if you don't, you're kind of an idiot.
Yeah, if you don't use it, it's for economic purposes. Have to kind of try to use our calendar, but the high holidays don't follow the Gregorian calendar. I mean they follow the you know what I meant. They don't follow our calendar; they follow their calendar.
But yeah, man. A lot of fun stuff this year. I'm definitely excited. I don't know. Definitely gonna be more retro stuff coming down the pipe. Definitely got some more retro stuff. I'm actually waiting on the new. I actually have a keyboard, another mechanical keyboard that's supposed to be here by 9 o'clock. Hopefully, it's the M60A2. Also got the terminal keycaps already, and this is the stealth mode, so I can program my name and LEDs on the back of my keyboard. Yeah, I'm weird.
Is it? I assume you ordered from Amazon.
No, RamaWorks. RamaWorks is they deal with like mechanical keyboard layout. They sell PCB and they sell keycaps. Not keycaps, but like the actual boards itself, where you can actually solder like the connectors for your keycaps on as well too. Oh shoot. So
Okay, because you said a certain time it was going to be here. This made me think of Amazon Prime.
yeah, this is being shipped through DHL, so you know how that goes. With DHL, they kind of say, "Oh, before 9 p.m." So I'm hoping, because that keyboard is awesome and it's stealth mode, and yeah, I'm super excited. It's jet black and green LEDs.
All right.
Yeah, so super amped about that, and that'll be another keyboard for my MacBook, and I don't know. Here's what I did for. What else? Also too, we have ShmooCon Evolodge coming up for Nova Hackers, which is but we're doing a virtual con this year. We're not doing a physical conference this year because I guess because of the way the year leaps or Groundhog Day is set up this year. We kind of do it every other year, but this year we're doing a virtual con, kind of similar to KringleCon. And I will be doing a talk there called Thumping with Threat Hunting. So I'll let you know when that comes out.
Cool.
I'll tweet about it definitely. And if you guys got anything coming up projects wise, let me know. I'll definitely retweet it and talk about it in bids. Yeah.
Cool. Well, anybody else got anything to say before we end the cast?
Nope, not me.
Anybody else?
Going once. Going twice.
All right, folks. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and I'll see y'all next Wednesday.
All right. And remember, keep your pip hand strong. Yow!
Bye, folks.